So many studies regularly place black women at the bottom of the rung, whether it's based on class, race, gender, even looks. You hear it said the black women are the least desirable group in comparison to their peers. How would you respond to that? For example, The Guardian did a study on black academics, and it was found that black women earned less than all their colleagues. And it happened year after year after year. Like, how would you respond to that?
Why are we surprised?
But I'm not surprised. I mean, at the end of the day, it's to do with value, isn't it?
Literally.
So basically, with what you've just said, and you're confirming statistics from the Guardian, etc. So basically, what it is it's just all that articles are doing, really, all the statistics are doing, is it's just confirming that we are not valued as much as white people.
Yeah.
Which we kind of know anyway. It
doesn't.
No, but it's not just white people. It's
other ethnic groups.
Other ethnic groups as well.
So
we are always at the bottom rung.
In dating apps, I did a.
So even if it's Asian people,
Asian,
we're still at the bottom.
We are always at the bottom. So the white man's always at the top, and the black woman's always at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. So even like I did a Zoom kind of like panel talk, and one of the things we were looking at was literally black women, well, not black women specifically, but black people and dating. And I found that, and to be honest with you, based on experiences, personal experiences, and other people's personal experiences, I was like, do you know what, this statistic is actually correct. That whereby it was that black females were least desirable of all groups, including black men. I can't speak because I can't remember. I chose not to remember more specifically because it wasn't personal to me in regards to the stats in regards to black men, but they were also quite low.
We're the lowest of the lowest.
We're the lowest of the lowest, and on top of that, we are fetishized in so many different ways, and in so many different spheres of life. So I'm not surprised, nor am I. This is horrible. I'm not even bothered by it anymore because it's a norm now.
Yes.
It's not something I've accepted. Ooh, I've just contradicted myself.
Because if you say you're okay with it.
No, you're not.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's what you mean when you say that you haven't accepted it. So you're not accepting it as the correct thing, but you know that it's there.
You don't allow it to define you. You are aware of it.
100%. And because of that, it means that, again, I'm aware of the fact that individuals may fetishize me, or if we're talking, I'm specifically speaking to dating, I'm aware of that. So how I navigate your replies, because the thing is, even though we're at the bottom, we're still desired, just not as companions and partners to pursue a relationship with, but as individuals to encounter, experience, and conquer.
Yeah.
Because jungle fever is a phrase.
Woo.
Right. Because, I've listened on my Tinder profile a few years ago.
Hey, you're on Tinder.
I was. Okay. I'm very on, very like Tinder, POF, Hinge, Plenty of Fish. It's the devil's cesspool. Don't go there.
Which one, POF?
I don't know.
Don't do it. Listen, people be shaking their heads as they're listening because they also agree. Plenty of Fish is not for fishers. It's not for fishermen.
Plenty of Fish is like Tinder.
It's the cesspool. Don't go there. Don't ask questions about it. It's not necessary. Just it's a dating website.
Basically,
but
not
it's
recommended.
Not recommended.
I'm so tempted to be like,
you can look. Just don't make accounts. Look, but don't make accounts.
I don't play that.
But literally, on all these platforms, I was getting, because I'm attracted to whomever is attracted. No, that's a lie. I'm attracted to people. You know that. I say whoever's attracted to me, I'm attracted to them. That's natural. But my attraction isn't specifically any particular group of people.
Yeah.
So whoever replies to me, if I look at your profile and I look at your face, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you a second. Then I'm
but do you have a tag?
Creative geeks.
Ooh.
Who?
I hear
full
that.
stop.
Okay.
So anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not promoting myself like that. But what I'm trying to say is that in my experience, when I didn't put a disclaimer, I found that majority of the individuals who actually contacted me, reached out and tried to match and the first 3 things they would say to me would be something related to them wanting to, dip their vanilla in my chocolate, wanting to enjoy their mousse, wanting to, they want to tame me. I'm sure you're really wild. Roads care. I'm even giving you, this is PG versions of the reality of what has been said. And it was something, and it after, I'm like, obviously I cuss them and then I block. But then it got to a point where I was cussing and blocking too much. So I said, you know what? Let me make it very clear for you all. So I put in my bio, before I even said my credentials and, my fantastic things. I said, if you're looking to try a black girl or looking to try a black woman, swipe left, because I'm not the latest dish in the deli section as Asda. You can't sample me.
Hey.
If you desire me, literally, if you desire me, you better make sure you go to the till and pay. Then come back and collect. Yeah. And it reduced drastically the amount of messages I received, whereby the primary aim was to, sex a black woman.
Wow.
To kiss a black woman. I've never dated a black woman before. That's nice. I've never dated an imbecile before.
So
but
I'm not going to be the first.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
So
did any still message you to try and?
Of course they did.
Do
you not change your mind? It's not a case, because remember with with fetishization and with racism, you do not believe or understand that your idea and perception is a problem or is something that should not be. So. And from the most part, a lot of people excuse their thinking and excuse, like you were saying before, Lucy, proximity to blackness, proximity to black culture. I listen to Kendrick, so do I. He's dope. What's your point? Just because, and all because you listen to Bashment and...
Yes. I've never ever listened to Bashment.
No, but it's interesting when you get those statements as an opening. It's like, why are you telling me that? Oh, I've got a black next door neighbour. Okay,
and that's nice.
My teacher was right.
And but it's primarily because as far as those people are aware, in terms of a place of connection, a mutual point of connection, they find it difficult to see past your ethnicity or your complexion.
Absolutely.
And so they're like, okay, we won't have anything to relate on. What's the most relatable? My neighbour's black. Shoot. The teacher of my son is black. She has hair just like yours.
Yeah. Yes. But imagine, that's the interesting thing, because imagine if we were to flip the tables, if we started saying that. As in, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, I've got a white next door neighbour, actually.
Listen, I've done that once.
How is that
relevant? Have you read the book by Knots and Crosses by
Mallory Blackman.
Mallory Blackman.
Yeah.
That's
the movie.
She flipped.
She's good.
The
TV show. Or the
she
movie.
completely flipped the script.
Exactly.
And the world that the book was based in was the world where black people had dominated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they accused her of being racist because they couldn't bear to read.
But they have to look at the reason why she did it.
No, of course.
But why is not important. It's the act.
It's the reaction.
Wow.
Like, why are you not comfortable seeing yourself?
Yeah, because exactly. It's like she's done it for a reason, not to be racist, but to show you what we experience.
Exactly.
Because you don't know otherwise. But when she does that, it's a problem.
You're able to
Funny
see
that,
it.
right?
That's how they perceive even I'm going to use quotation marks for those who can't see. Black rage. It's the you should not be breaking buildings. You should not be breaking and stealing things. You should not be destroying property. I'm sorry, my taxes pay for these things. And if the individuals, I'm not an advocate for violence. Yeah. This just to make that very clear. However, I understand the expression of anger in that way, especially when an institution or a system and is oppressing individuals, and those individuals are paying for that system. Yeah, there's a different kind of anger and pain in knowing
something you put in.
The thing that my taxes, I am like, let's consider this. There are so many families that are struggling to make ends meet, to put clothes on their children's back or on their own back, to have safe housing, not just any kind of safe housing that doesn't have mold in it, or that doesn't isn't airy, that is isn't an environment that is dangerous for them, but it's the one that they can afford. There are so many difficulties that many families are going through, to then know that a large, because let's not pretend, when we look at our pay slips and we see that NI, that tax cut, you're like, so it was a round number before, but now we're just going to be doing digits and decimals. Okay, cool, nice. Like, those, to see that much of your money on a month-to-month basis is going and paying and fueling a particular system or particular organizations that are meant to serve you and aren't. It's a case of, okay, so
What should we do?
What will I do now? If I stop paying my taxes, what happens? They come and collect me. So the money that I've been paying, that's gone into this, my community right now, that you aren't protecting us. We are okay. We built this place. We fund this place. Okay, we don't mind. You're destroying our lives, but you're concerned about property. You're concerned about us destroying property. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's nice. I don't advocate violence.
No, I hear you.
So do I.
I think it's a shame. I think that, like we just said already, it does seem that we just happen to be the lowest of the lowest. And I think that, Ginny's introduced another area there, which I didn't really pay attention to before, in that sense, just to see how we are considered to be objects. And so basically, again, it's no value, but you want to have an experience in relation to us because you actually view us as being so different from you that actually you have a fetish in relation to us. That's sick and it's sad. And you're doing that in relation to other human beings. And to know that actually exists, and I believe it exists because she just shared that it exists. It's not her perception, it is a reality because it is fact, because she has that experience before people want to be cynical in relation to that. And I think that it's a sad thing yet again in relation to how we are perceived, how we are. And the truth is it's just so wrong. It's so wrong. And I think, like you covered this earlier, just in the sense that you're looking at us, you have a stereotype in relation to us. And what it is that all of your systems that you're in charge of have an agenda to enforce that stereotype.
Exactly.
So not only do you want you to believe it, it's dangerous because you want us to believe it as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, where some people might want to say, oh, I don't think that's true, Oh, no, surely that doesn't happen. Well, here's the thing. We're human beings. And the truth is that we all have prejudices. The truth is that we all are aware of stereotypes, The problem is that when your stereotypes lead to our death and disadvantage, that's the problem. And I'll show you how stereotypes are there, because you might want to say, no, we don't have any stereotypes where we look at you negatively. Well, you have stereotypes where you look at us where you might consider it to be positive, right? So, for example, I can't count the amount of times where white people have assumed that I can sing. I can't sing, by the way. Do you understand what I mean? But there's an assumption. That's exactly it. Or they assume that I can dance. You're quite right, I can.
Or twerk.
Right? But do you understand what I mean?
But even in that,
but the truth is that there is a stereotype that you have of me. So come on, white people, you know this. You know that you have stereotypes where you assume that black people can sing, black people can dance. We have rhythm. Many of us do, I agree. But if you can assume, if you're comfortable assuming the positive, do you not know that your same brains also assume the negative in relation to us? And that's what we're really complaining about.
100%.
And the reason we're complaining about that is because we're dying as a result of it.
Yes, that's it.
Go figure.
our lives are being affected by
In a negative way.
Stereotypes.
Wow.
It's a negative discrimination in that sense.
Wow.
So, and we're trying to live. And that's why, we've heard the song as in, we just want to live. And the thing is, again, it's a case of, people want to say, why are you so affected by George Floyd? That's America. That's not over here. Well, here's the thing.
Exactly.
It's the symbolism. It's the symbolism. And I will say this time and time again. And as we're the group that's on the bottom, I'll say this even more. And, the minister at the memorial service hit the nail on the head when he said, you know what it is? Shall I tell you why so many of us cried when we saw George Floyd being murdered for 9 minutes? Why we cried is because we could identify. Yeah. Now, people have died before George Floyd. 100%. People have died even after George Floyd. Yeah. I'll tell you something. Breonna I don't Taylor. Know George Floyd. I don't miss George Floyd. But what that gave is it woke us up to the reality of what we're experiencing. And I'm going to quote the minister here, because this is what he said, and it resonated with me. For years, the truth is, the systemic system, the racism has had its knee on our neck. And I can't breathe. Yeah? We've spoken already today in relation to it being hard work, the challenges, we're tired. That's because it feels as if the white man has got his knee on our neck and we can't breathe. And you know what? I thank God for that example, because it's going to happen anyway. All it is that we captured it on camera and the whole world got to see it.
And everybody had stopped
exactly
in life at that time to actually see and hear
So I thank God for shining the light and getting the magnifying glass in relation to what has been suffered for years. But for some reason, God has decided that in 2020, we're now going to have a look at that. Yeah. We're going to look at that. But it's nothing new. But during this time of a global pandemic, we had stopped. So we now get to look at it. And those of us that have been sleeping, those of us that have been silent, those of us that have been trapped in suppression, we're now awake. Get your knee off our neck so we can breathe. That's what we're going through.
And you know, from what you're saying, when you pointed something about the system, that sort of perspective is also being taught to the system. When you mentioned the George Floyd thing, the one thing that really caught me, and I felt like the fact that he died and the fact that they did that to him, that is, you know, but what I really looked at is the fact that there was a police officer who knelt on his knee.
Yes, come on.
The other 4 looked at it like it was okay.
And we're actually bantering.
That's it. None of them came and said, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You can't do it. They just looked at it like it's something fine.
And hold on. And a few weeks later.
Yes, say it.
Somebody did the same thing. A black woman stopped it and she lost her job.
Yep.
You know?
That's
police
the
officer.
funny thing. A black female police officer.
Yeah,
I didn't know
stopped her colleague from doing what?
She intervened.
She intervened and she lost her job as a consequence.
But that's what we do.
And I'm pretty sure that the other 4 were aware of that kind of thing. I'm just saying, it's a
Imagine,
risk.
Of course, because sometimes you think about these things as not just... It made me even think that this is even beyond even the system. It's malice.
Yeah, malice.
It's the heart.
Yeah, because even afterwards there was a hashtag.
I know, even if your own human body, like your own mind and body,
Lucy, finish
you know, like if your own mind and body and your own human flesh can give you the audacity to do something to another human being, and then you go back home and sit down and have a cup of tea and eat food like everything is normal, there is a problem. And the fact that you can imagine, you go back home, your wife is like, hey, how was work? Work was fine. Something happened. The family are at home. They are crying. They have lost a brother. They have lost a father. They have lost a friend. They have lost a neighbor. They have lost everything. But it's a system. That the fact that
Exactly.
The fact that when even it happened, it wasn't like, oh, this is wrong, we need to arrest these people. We had to march. We had to ban things. We had to shout. We had to walk. We had to scream for them to be like, oh, this is wrong. Something needs to be done.
But even then, they
look at us like we are the problem.
Still aren't able to comprehend that things are wrong, because even those same police officers were shown allegedly filming themselves, you know, reenacting what they did to George Floyd. And then on top of that, because of what you said, like specifically what you were saying about how it was the 4 that watched, or the 3 that watched him do that, it was so acceptable and normal for them to witness and witness that. that is.
They didn't look horrified.
They weren't horrified. In fact, they were like, we're just gonna wait for.
And stopping the thing is, what they could have done is they could have actually allowed the public to intervene,
but they didn't.
But they actually stopped the public from intervening
and pushed them further.
So if
back.
they were scared of their jobs, they could have just stood. They could have just stood aside.
But they weren't bothered. They were ready to protect.
They were ready to protect their colleague in that sense. Whereas, you know, and this is where it's going to sound terrible. I'm just going to say it anyway. It's almost like, in order for there to be a change, something like this had to happen.
100%.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It had to happen in a sense. Because if there was an intervention, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right here. So there's events that probably had to occur. And even though, again, I'm not somebody that advocates for looting and for, even though I don't even think that certain people started the looting anyway. I'm not a person that advocates in relation to riots and stuff. But at the end of the day, had that not happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
It wouldn't be a
and the truth is, we needed to see, the world needed to see what has been happening. And unfortunately, George Floyd lost his life as a result of that. But he's not the only George Floyd. There are many other George Floyds. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to prevent the next George Floyd, even though I'm sure there has already been one. But we're trying to reduce the number of George Floyds.
But society isn't ready, because it isn't ready.
Evidently.
Because even in response to George's death and murder, there was a hashtag. Is it bend the knee on the knee or something? Bend the knee or something.
What does that mean?
And basically, the hashtag was.
Were they mocking it?
Not mocking. People were reenacting the.
According to the
scene.
article, it's called the George Floyd Challenge.
Yes, called the George Floyd Challenge, whereby people were kneeling with their friends. Usually in the videos, it was primarily white counterparts. They were kneeling on one of their white friends' neck, or presenting and smiling, or doing the peace sign.
What's the motivation behind that?
I believe
Antagonize.
I believe the motivation was to antagonize, but also I believe it was to communicate their understanding of the situation and the reality. Because the reality is, we just all watched somebody die. We all watched the police, these particular policemen, their actions resulted in this man's death. That's what we know. That is actually a fact. Their actions resulted in his death.
Yes.
However you want to call it, whether you want to call it murder, whether you want to call it, excellent policing, whatever you want to call it, is your business. But their actions led to this man's death. And those actions ought not to have happened in that way. Like, it ought not to have. He didn't need to die. But the sheer fact that society, people within society witnessed that, heard and saw, I mean, we assume they heard and saw, but obviously we have to remember that your news feed is reflective or reflectant upon the people you follow and your own particular perception. So if you are an avid racist, then you are only going to have avid racist on your TL. And so as a result of that, that's where that hashtag, I feel, came from. It's mad.
Yeah. I just feel like history just repeats itself. This has happened many times before, and we're here again.
But I pray that this is a new season. I really do.
I can only hope, but I mean, the system is built on oppression to oppress black people. So I'm not. I feel like
optimistic.
I mean, I would hope that there'll be a change, but I think a lot of people are planning to move to Africa at this point. I think they just had enough.
Or the islands.
Or the islands. And people should stop the blackface.
Why?
Dear. The blackface. What do you mean? Why we should?
Oh, blackface. I thought you meant black fist.
Oh,
face. You know, like when a white person paints their face black because they are trying to
make it look like a black person.
Costume.
No, like
so I thought you said black
like
fist.
their way of supporting the black movement.
Pardon?
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Sorry, wait, what?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
No.
that's no.
But you know what? Why am I surprised?
That's nonsense.
They did a hashtag.
That's nonsense.
The cognitive dissonance is there. Like it doesn't match.
Wow. They have to paint themselves black for them to imagine. Like
there's a lot society has to learn. There's a lot that we, as I feel, the black community has to unlearn. In order for us to work together and move forward.
Definitely.
There's lots of unlearning.
And there is going to be a time period of unrest, and we have to be okay with being uncomfortable for a period of time in order for us to then all
to change.
Not just for black people, but all
everyone.
as
It does.
human race.
I think that's the thing. I think it does come down to, and this is why I think that we do need to continue to talk and educate.
That's right.
Because we're not asking to do this on our own. We actually need to unite with other people, irrespective of their race. Because the truth is, if they don't appreciate what we're saying, or even validate what we're saying, then where's the education? It's just going to be us educating people that look like us. But really, we need to get into the system, and people need to be re-educated. But if they don't even admit that there was a problem in the first place, that's the struggle that we have. Because if they don't admit that there's a problem in the first place, there is going to be an us and them.
Exactly.
It's inevitable. But we don't want it to be an us and them.
And then we just go back to square one.
Absolutely.
Cycles.
Exactly.
But I'm happy it's happening now, because if you think about years ago when such things happened, there was no that sort of platform, there was no that kind of education, it was not visible. Even if it was there, it was not there. It was not like available, it was not there. But right now, I feel like the time is now.
We're
and I feel like we
really, God, I'm saying he's helping to expose stuff.
That's true.
And it might, and do you know what it is? We might not cover all of the ground, but I think we'll at least take a few steps in the right direction, because the point is before, when we were not calling it, we're now calling it out. So therefore, when we are stopped by the police unjustifiably, we can now call it out for what it actually is. Whereas before, we would have stayed in these invisible shackles that they were putting us in. But at the moment, we can now challenge. So it's a case of saying, now we can at least say, okay, I can see that you want to pay me this amount of money. I'd like to discuss how you came up with that amount.
The language.
Because I've just been told by this person over here that this is what it is. I just want to understand. And I think that we can actually enter into conversations where we can actually ask. And this is where, we might get, you may get the brush off. But the truth is, this is why we have to continue. Because it's a case of, okay, I can see that this is what you believe is fair. I think that this amount is fair. So I'd like to know what I need to do in order to change the number at the front.
And I think technology has been our been really great source, because it's through technology people have been able to, interact with social media and find out things. I mean, it was through a mobile phone camera, why we were able to see.
Imagine.
What happened. So,
imagine.
I mean, and I think with the young people in particular, they are having more of an awareness of it now. And they're speaking openly about it and saying, for example, their parents are racist and speaking out about it. And I think that's just amazing to see. And I think that has helped some way. And I think that's great that young people are now speaking about this thing. But in terms of appearances, I find that Black people are unique. We look different. We stand out. And we're definitely special. We are special. For example, our hair's different. For some people, they might want to touch your hair because it's so unique. It's so different. And for some people, it'll be like, oh, your hair's so greasy. It's horrible. It's like, what is this? And it's horrible. It's horrible.
Out of my face.
Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Never. They have not born the person that is brave enough to say that to my face.
No, then they've said it around you.
Right.
Disrespect. No,
exactly.
Any disrespect, but they've said it around you. You've
That's
just
right.
been aware of it.
Right.
Wow.
It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. See?
Sorry.
Carrying on the point that you were saying, I feel like now a lot of young people are becoming more aware of things like when I walk into a shop and then the security guard is following me around, is it okay? No, it's not okay. It's
Has that
not
happened
fine.
to you as well then?
That happened to me. I made the man.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
I was in the shop. I was looking for biscuits and they sent me to go and buy it.
She said,
This one is following me around the shop. And I'm like, you look at me from head to toe and you're convinced in your mind that I'm here to steal. all right, let's make this work. So I'm like, hi sir, how are you? Good
That's what you
afternoon.
do, engage.
And he's like, yeah, hello.
I do
I'm
that all
like,
the time.
I'm trying to find this biscuit, so can you advise me?
Right.
Uncle spent
Chaperone.
a lot of time and we're discussing this. And since you want to waste your time, let's do it well.
Let's do it together.
He took time helping me choose the packet of biscuits.
The interesting thing is, did you just call him uncle?
Yes, you did. I was gonna say. I literally no, because I was gonna say. Sorry. I was gonna say.
Uncle.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that
don't.
in terms of being black women,
Who's following us?
we've spoken at great and amazing length about every other element of our life
I
and our
know.
world and our sphere.
Yeah, we haven't gone there.
Aside from our interactions with black men.
I wanted to avoid that.
And that's fine. But you just mentioned the security guard, so I just
No, he
wanted
was
to
white.
acknowledge. Oh, you said uncle. Oh, okay. No,
He
I
was
understand
white.
the respect because he's older. Yeah, Nigeria. But yeah, just something to consider.
Yeah, because now, you know, the thing for the walking around in the shop, you're kind of like aware of that. And then also the thing of like, every time when I go in the shop, I must carry my receipt. Because if I'm to get out of this, once I'm getting out, if I'm in a group of friends, like my other white friends, I'll be the one who's pointed out that.
I mean,
Let's
imagine
check in your
you
bag.
get asked the question now. Do you want your receipt? Yes.
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 Exactly.
And you know what? It happens with my brother
I'm
as well.
black.
Every time we go in the shop, it's
Yeah.
like, make sure you get the receipt. Don't forget it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? It's
Yeah.
like, you need to take it. It's kind of like this small thing. It's, for example, when you get out of the house, mom is like, don't wear a hood over your head.
Yeah.
Make sure the hood is not off your head. When you're around with your friends in the park,
Yeah.
don't run.
Yeah.
Don't look suspicious. Be gentle. Be calm. Like, you know that sort of, you know, that
Daily
kind of
Yes,
that,
yeah.
you know, and every single time you're sort of aware of these things. But I'm happy that now people are more aware of these things. That people, young children, like I'm very aware
Yeah.
of this. You know, when they see something that is not right, they'll snap to you and I'll be like, you know what, that's not right. What are you doing?
Exactly.
It's racist. You're
Exactly.
targeting me as a person.
Yeah.
Why are you not doing it to my friends? Why are you not doing that? Because I remember there were a couple of like 15-year-old boys and someone posted it on the Instagram.
I know
They
when
went
you're
to,
talking about an Enfield, the Tesco.
I think it was a Tesco.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you know they I think they excluded the black. Was it mixed?
I
No,
saw
he was
that
a
video,
Mediterranean appearing,
Yes.
non-black
Oh, when the
person.
police stopped them.
Yeah, so they were outside
yeah, I
Tesco,
saw that,
and I
yeah.
think that I don't know. We're not really sure why they stopped them, but they were all together. So it was a group of black boys as well as a boy who wasn't black, and the police. Had handcuffed and separated the black boys. They had surrounded them. They were questioning them about why they were there, what they were doing, etc., etc. However, and this was all happening right by the little shelters where you put your
Yeah,
trolley
saw
back.
the trolley bin,
And
yeah.
on the other side of that trolley shelter, kiniko, you had their friend, their non-black friend, who was standing. He wasn't being questioned by police. He wasn't in handcuffs. He wasn't being asked his name. He wasn't being asked his. Sorry.
He was laughing though.
And he was, and when he was challenged by the black man he was videoing, and he was actually intervening and trying to ensure that
Stop
the interaction in the first place. The non-black boy was laughing, like and I believe he was laughing genuinely out of uncomfortability, out of nerves, out of that youthful. Boy, in it, it's tough. It's whatever, like that kind of response, but also out of a complete and utter awareness of what is happening and why he was over there on that side.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to start the discussion about allies, but I can't. It's 9:00. Like we have to wrap this up.
Oh my days! It's
I could talk to you
okay.
for forever.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah,
there's
it's
so
got
much
There's so
to
much.
unpack
So
and
much.
discuss. And there's no time because my mom texted me like 3 times so I have to go home.
Oh.
So yeah,
Okay.
we gotta close now.
Okay. Cool.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so
It's
much.
been fun.
Great.
For
Thank you.
contributing. Your brains are beautiful.